Hello, I am Deanna,
And I'm Wendy.
and this is Left to Watch.
We've got a lot to talk about today, don't we?
Yes, we do. I'm actually, because of all the information coming out so fast, especially with Sargon and like his fast mouth who just won't shut up. I'm feel like I'm having a lobotomy every time I see a post about him.
Yes. And today to talk about us, one of our favorite like Sargon experts, Kevin Logan, is here. How are you, Kevin?
I'm very well, thank you for having me on.
No problem. I'm very excited because you're into the Manosphere. Deanna, I don't know if you're as familiar with Kevin as I am, but like, if you ever want to like dive into a hole, like an amazing like YouTube binge hole, like go into the Manosphere videos. They're so great.
Well, thank you. That's
And
What is
perfect.
the whole get down of it? What is the whole like sort of general idea or dissection of the manosphere? Because right now, like when I think of manosphere, I'm smelling like old Doritos and like
yeah. That's the basic gist. Yeah, I do. I do reviews of various people who are often, I dare say, covered in Doritos. Um, it started off as purely as like me just sort of dissecting individuals of the manosphere, which doesn't really exist as a like a thing really anymore. So, but the name
I
was
know,
the name
it's
was
weird.
stuck. So I basically take on people from just these right wing dicks and
Some of whom call
dissect
themselves
them.
left wing, which is weird.
So is it like those characters in Fight Club
They,
who sort
they
of
do, yeah, they do definitely. They resemble. Well, they want to resemble that. Like they want to be Tyler Durden. They
uh
want to be this kind of charismatic, dangerous, sort of violent, but without being necessarily self-destructive kind of person. But they don't seem to realise that Tyler Durden is the manifestation
The
of
villain?
someone's psychotic disorder. They don't seem to realise that. I don't think they've actually read the book. They've only seen the film, and probably not to the
Though
end.
they glamorize psychotic disorders.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's. I mean, it sort of does to a degree, and the movie doesn't do justice to the book clearly, because the book in the book he ends up being sectioned because he's clearly mentally very unwell. Um,
do you think they glamorize psychotic disorders because a lot of them, especially now, face a lot of anxieties and depressions, and they're kind of projecting that in like an unhealthy way, maybe?
no, well, I'm not so sure that's true. I think a lot of them actually, bizarrely, the complete opposite, if that makes sense. That because they're rather comfortable, often very middle class, suburban white
Okay.
guys, they actually look for something that's a bit more edgy and dangerous and sexy. Whereas,
Oh, so like those guys in like middle school who drew like swastikas on like their notebooks and kind of just giggled at it,
yeah,
that kind
Well,
of
I
thing.
didn't.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Uh,
then also the honey badgers that support.
where are the honey badgers?
Oh, the
You
honey,
don't know what honey badger?
oh, the honey badger.
Yeah,
Oh
wait.
my god!
I know what the honey badger is. Like I've seen the YouTube video of like the honey badger meme.
No,
but
no, no, honey, honey, honey. No, we're talking about like the women who are MRAs.
Yeah,
So like
they're a specific group
I
of largely Canadian women headed by Karen Strahan and Hannah Wallen and various other people who are, I mean, they are, I don't want to be too rude, but they are fucking garbage. Yeah, they're MRA, well, FemRA, I suppose, people. And they're horrific on a number of levels. They say and do disgusting things, but they also take advantage of deeply insecure men for their own financial benefit. Which, I mean, I don't particularly care for the men individually because they're garbage as well, but it's still pretty disgusting that they would do that.
do they
Yeah.
compare to that maybe young girl who romanticized the shooter from that goes by the name of Dylan Roof, sort of like that person, or
I don't know that they're
is it someone?
necessarily quite as extreme as that, but it
Oh,
probably comes from a similar psychological place, I imagine.
okay.
Yeah,
Well,
but
that. Sorry.
no, it's fine. But like the funny thing is, we've got a lot to talk about today, and I thought maybe like we have to go into this because imagine my shock when I learned the other day, as we're recording this, I think it was 2 days ago. We're recording this on Saturday, the 4th of May. Um, Imagine my shock when a bunch of people got ousted from Facebook and Instagram. And that included, I think it was Paul Joseph Watson, Louis Farrakhan, and my personal favorite, Laura Loomer, who is one of my favorite complete nutcases and also my unfavorite complete nutcases. Like, I have a love-hate relationship with Laura Loomer that is just incredible.
Yeah.
And it has a lot to do with the fact that I am also a Jewish woman. And she introduced
Is she
me to
Jewish?
the idea...
You think she would have mentioned that?
No! Well, I don't know. I wouldn't know because I hate Jews so much, being a Jewish woman myself.
Well, yeah, that's, by the way, for everyone, that's a joke. Like, literally, Laura Loomer says, oh, identity politics is really bad, but mentions that she's Jewish every 5 fucking seconds. It's ridiculous.
I'm a Jewish journalist. If you ever want to know exactly what Laura Loomer is about, look up the Creationist Cat video on her.
Yeah.
It's called Twitter Justice Warrior.
Oh, yeah. And it's, well, actually, yeah, and if you ever get the chance, if you've got like a spare 3 hours and you want to see someone just the most ridiculous protest ever, watch the live stream of Laura Loomer's protest where, in the freezing cold of New York City in the winter, she chained herself, literally handcuffed herself to the door of Twitter's HQ in New York City. Didn't put a coat on, so by the time we got to night time she was freezing. Hadn't gone to the toilet, so she was busting.
Oh, that...
Yeah.
She was that girl that...
Yeah. Which, I mean, I nicknamed her Laura Loomer with Pissy Bloomers, because she could, like, just prepare. If you're going to do, like, one of these sit-in type things, like, prepare for it. And she was
She didn't know how to use her bullhorn. Or her, what's it called? Speakerphone.
Yeah.
And kept setting off the alarm setting.
Yeah, it had an alarm setting, so every 5 minutes, she just, all of a sudden, it was like an ambulance was going past. And he's just, what is this? What are you doing? This is ridiculous. And I love the fact
This is
that...
why some things you do in, like, on the outside don't like, on the internet don't translate well to the outside. Like, the average person is just gonna look at you and go, what are you doing? Do you need help?
She was really disappointed because the police didn't arrest her. Like, she said she voluntarily went to the police to, like, give a statement because she wanted to pretend like she was in trouble or something. Because the police didn't care. The police were just saying, as long as you don't, like, actually block the door so people can get out, because they were basically just worried that she wasn't a fire hazard. Other than that, they didn't give a shit. And she was really
She is
annoyed.
a fire hazard, though.
She was dressed in Antifa gear, too, and wore a Star of David, as if people don't remember. She's also the person who was running around, I think it was Jacob Wall she was with, who, they were driving around in an armored van, claiming that the Clintons had sent people after them. Yeah.
Well, she did, for all of the talk about how Jewish she is, of course, she forgets that she was recorded going on about creating, what was it, Aryan Jew babies with neo-Nazis.
Well, didn't she also try to get with Paul Joseph Watson?
I believe so. And there is an amazing piece of footage, and it's, I mean, I can only describe it as the most thirsty person ever. She literally is trying to come onto this, like, neo-Nazi dude who's so not interested. It's the funniest piece of footage you will ever see. It makes your toes curl with cringe. It's awful.
Is she that girl that goes like, oh, if we only procreate with our oppressors and everything will be better? That kind of person, or
it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
I think she just thinks Nazis are stylish, to be honest.
Yeah.
And she's just using Jewish identity as a sort of like as a unsuccessfully, I'm going to add. She's using it as an excuse or as like a defense, but it's not working because like we said, there is this clip of her, and I know exactly which clip you're talking about, when she tries to cuddle up to this neo-Nazi, and she goes like, Nazis don't like me because I'm Jewish, but they're just jealous because I've got big tits and an Ashkenazi IQ.
Yeah. I mean, they're drunkenly like in a club, and the dude is totally not interested at all, and she's thirsting really badly, and she's at like a neo-Nazi gathering, like, yeah, she's. I mean, it's ridiculous. Is there a Jewish version of an Uncle Tom? I don't know. It's essentially that kind of deal. Like, she's
I'm gonna
literally...
call her Aunt Miriam from now on.
like, it's too easy to say that she has like self-hatred about it. Like, I don't know, it feels like she's just fetishizing that whole dynamic of Nazis oppressing Jewish people. I don't know. It's weird.
I don't know, but either way, I keep telling her and people like her that, like, I mean, if the Nazis get their way, you're going to be in the camps with me. They're not going to like be like, oh, well, she's the good Jew. No, you're going in there as well.
Yeah.
Like, stop it. It's really bad.
Is she romanticizing being like, I don't know, the sexual offer of like the Nazis, because the history with that is kind of not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like I think it's almost like one of those French collaborator type things almost. I don't know. She's trying to be the good Jew. There were like a few trying to be the good Jew, people during the Holocaust, and some of them actually got away with it for a little while until it didn't.
Well, yeah. Look, I'm not.
Didn't.
I don't like kink shaming people, but Laura, if your kink is being genocided, I have to step in at that point and go, that's bad. Come on now.
Like I'm afraid to look up her porn history just in general.
But
I'm
she's
kind of
deplatformed
afraid.
now, and the funny thing about that, the really hilarious thing about that is that, like, so she went after Twitter first. First she was deplatformed off of Twitter, and then she staged her stupid protest. And here's the thing, I know why she protested Twitter so badly. It's because she got most of her views through Twitter. Like, her analytics apparently said almost everybody's getting stuff from your Twitter account. And because that's where she posted about the fake /tire thing. And now she's off of Facebook and Instagram as well. And I think, didn't the Jacob Wohl thing happen through Instagram stories, Kevin? I can't remember.
I can't remember off the top of my head, possibly. But I think it's worth stating that she wasn't, like, kicked off Twitter for no reason. I think someone reminded me of one of her most notorious tweets where she was responding to someone talking about, like, some report had come out saying 2,000 people in a certain space of time had drowned trying to cross the Mediterranean, like migrants in boats had drowned, right? 2,000 people. And she said, she retweeted this with the comment, "Here's to 2,000 more."
Yeah, that sounds like...
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah,
let's not feel sorry. Like, she wasn't kicked off for something really pointless. Like, she was literally calling for people to be drowned. Like,
thousands of people.
yeah, she's got.
And she wasn't, maybe getting paid to tweet all this, possibly.
Oh, she's probably getting paid, but she made her money. I don't know if she makes money anymore, because a lot of these people are getting defunded in a lot of ways. Like, I'm wondering what's happening at InfoWars with their bank books right now. I hope they're selling a lot of Brain Force.
Well, I know that Laura Loomer has been banned from, like, PayPal and various other places, so I'm not entirely sure she can crowdfund anything, and I don't know if anyone's, like, employing her, so I don't know what she's doing. But I mean, she's still.
Is Jacob Wohl, like, Jacob Wohl's the guy she's with a lot, correct?
Yes.
And is he Turning Point USA, or am I getting him mixed up with something
No, you're
else?
getting him mixed up with Charlie Kirk. A lot of these young,
Yeah.
suited and booted bullshitters for pay are quite alike.
Yeah, they're so similar, and they all have the same haircut.
Yeah, I mean, I find it difficult to tell the difference between white people anyway. They all look the same, really. But yeah, they're basically these kind of, I don't know if they make them in some sort of assembly line in a factory somewhere, some horrific conservative factory, but yeah, they're all pretty similar. But no, you're thinking of Charlie Kirk there. But Jacob Wohl, yeah, probably most well known for faking a rape allegation against Robert Mueller, of all people. Yeah, but it was found out really obviously because they traced back the supposed company that had done this to a phone number that belonged to Jacob Wohl's mother. Yeah, but then they still had the brass balls to go out there and actually do the press conference, pretending like it was real. And the journalists were just saying, "Are you prepared to go to jail?"
And I wonder if he's, like, so I wonder who funds Laura Loomer. Like, I hope, maybe she has rich parents, we don't know. But it would be amazing. Like, I like, someday I hope I get to, like, witness her in person. Because she, like, I kind of hate her for how, like, especially she uses her Jewish identity, because, like, no, especially in this day and age, you don't get to do that. Like, you do not get to do that. Shanda Vori de Goyim. You know, but, oh my god.
Well, I'd love to talk to her, actually. Just ask her a few questions.
I have many questions for Laura
Why?
Loomer. That's the chief one. Why? I think all the questions I have with her start with why.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, so, like, what the fuck? Like, what is this? What are you up to? Yeah. Very
I
strange.
think those questions are too easy though. Like it's like too easy to ask why. Like how, I guess how, or to kind of describe exactly what are your tactics here. Kinda.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of want to psychoanalyze her. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Like, literally try and get down to the nub of why the fuck is she doing this? Why would you be prepared to humiliate yourself in this way?
Well, it's sort of like with Milo.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, a perfect sort of male analogy. Yeah.
I think he's probably dealt with like, or based on like whatever he was saying about pedophilia and how he was kind of, I guess, maybe abused by adults some way. I guess that kind of messed him up, but like it's not like redeemable.
Yeah, but
you know?
this is the thing, right? Yeah, I absolutely accept that there are ways in which people cope with being abused that are not necessarily healthy to themselves,
Unhealthy.
right? But ultimately, you can't really necessarily criticise a person for that because it's their own thing, right? But the point is, he boasted about having known about the identity of a pedophile Catholic priest, still in operation, so to speak, and still therefore a massive danger to children. And when challenged, like, well, why don't you go to the police? He just ignored it. So he's essentially aiding and abetting in the abuse of other people, other children, right now. So fuck him. I don't care if you yourself were abused. If you're aiding and abetting that happening to other people, then you're just as bad. I mean, that's garbage behaviour.
Yeah, so hopefully, like, I don't wish like that Laura faced like the same thing. Yeah, however, like what you said, if she's faced a lot of that, kind of, you kind of, I want to ask like, why didn't she, you know, go to people or be more open to people about it? Because again, like I know being like, it's too easy to say like that she's self-hating. Like there's something else underlying from that too. Like I can't get my
we don't want to armchair diagnose anything with Laura.
Yeah, like so I'm saying, like it's like I don't want to.
Yeah, we want to be careful. We want to be careful there. But with Laura
also, there's no. Yeah, it's not necessarily a pathology. Sometimes some people you're just a dick. Like there's no point in trying to make it into like a mental illness or something.
And I have to say, the Nazis, for a while, were really good at glamorizing themselves. I mean, thanks, Leni Riefenstahl, but like,
no, that's not fair. For all her faults, Leni Riefenstahl was actually a good filmmaker. These people are hacks.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I've seen Davis Aridi's work, so.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh God, yeah.
I'm just way too nice of a person. Like now I'm realizing I'm like way too nice of a person. Like even before like I turned left, I was like way too nice of a person to give people the benefit of a doubt. And so just like I don't know how to explain it in that, oh, maybe this person was, you know, quite sad, or like I want, because it's hard for me to see like because of like what Kevin said, some people are just dicks. It's just so hard for me to like know, to just say that they're just dicks without having anything attached to it. Even though I know, like, that they're dicks, like...
Well, dicks usually have
very
balls
hard,
attached.
like, for me.
That's how that works.
Yeah. It's
well,
like...
Paul Joseph Watson is gone, too. Like, and he doesn't have... He's what I completely understand.
Well, I loved it. He went, like, full high school emo kid this week.
Yes!
About that.
They will remember us.
He put, remember us, under a picture of him looking sad. I just thought, if he starts writing emotional poetry about the ice burns as hot as fire or something, like, I'm going to actually have to do an intervention on him.
The knife on my skin, like, crawling. He's just goose-stepping in his skin. These wounds, they will not heal. Like, it's...
Well, I genuinely...
And apparently...
He's this little middle-class kid from the north of England whose life is very comfortable, and he is that emo kid from high school who you just want to say, shut up, you live in a fucking mansion. Like, just, your life isn't hard, I'm sorry.
Yeah, like, he is fun because, like, he's, like, one where you look at, like, somebody like Laura Bloom or Milo Yiannopoulos and you're going... Or, like, Candace Owens, and you look at them and you're going, you do not realize, what the fuck are you doing? But, like, you not realize that you're going to be, if they have their way, they're going to, at best, you're going to be kicked out of your home country, and at worst, you are going to be slaughtered horribly.
It's like, are you being denied resources because somebody maybe slightly bullied you in school? Like, again, are you going to be foreclosed or denied a job because you've been slightly bullied? That kind of
Well,
thing.
no, it's clearly it's white genocide because they've been removed from Instagram. Clearly, that's how it works.
His Instagram account is gone. What will he do?
Well, exactly, they have been. I mean, there's been clearly a great replacement on Instagram.
Oh no.
There's still like does Gavin McGinnis still have his Facebook? Like, I
don't know. I haven't heard about him for a long time. He's sort of gone underground after having started a kind of weird neo-Nazi borderline terrorist group. He's kind of kept on the down low a little bit, so I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah. And the thing is that I like that people are being denied their resources. Like Laura Loomer, like I said, Laura Loomer got really bug up her butt about Twitter because that was her main source of traffic. And I'm wondering, like, is Google going to be next? And like, they got rid of Alex Jones? Why haven't they gotten rid of PJW?
Well, this is the thing, right? And Milo Yiannopoulos is the perfect example of when people say, "Oh no, if you deplatform them, you're just going to drive them either underground, or you're going to, give them more publicity." Milo Yiannopoulos was deplatformed rather successfully, and he might as well be living on the streets now. Like, he's been driven completely out of any semblance of influence anymore. So clearly, there's an argument for it. I'm not necessarily saying it's perfect as a defense mechanism, but it clearly does work.
Yeah, he canceled his latest tour because of lack of ticket sales. He is over $4 million in debt, and he's tried to turn that. Some of these people are trying to spin it into a good thing. Like he said that the media are reporting that I'm $2 million in debt, but I'm way too successful. I'm $4 million in debt, and I never would be $4 million in debt if not for how successful I'd been.
Yeah. That's...
Also from his new YouTube videos, have you seen the duality and juxtaposition of his costuming versus ContraPoints, and how just looking at it you kind of go, this looks familiar.
Yes.
Oh God, is he dressing like ContraPoints now?
Yes, some of his videos.
See, I'm afraid to click on some of these right-wingers' videos these days because, I'm worried that it'll clog up my, recommendations.
Oh God, remember when we looked up Sargon's video on Big Joel? Yeah,
yes.
My mentions were clogged up for weeks.
Well, I'll just say, because of the content I cover, if you click on any of my videos, it will completely fuck your recommendations for a long time.
So I got this plugin that sort of helped with that. That happened to me, but every so often I have to delete your videos from my viewing history.
That's absolutely understandable. I wouldn't criticize anyone for doing that. But just imagine how bad, considering the research I do for my videos, think how bad my recommendations are.
Oh God!
I can't go a single day.
I'm so sorry.
I can't go a single day on YouTube without going either right, anti-vax lunatic or Holocaust denier. Somewhere will pop up.
Your YouTube must look like Encyclopedia Dramatica for you. Oh my God!
Yeah,
I think it's because they equate a lot of leftist YouTubes with conspiracies. And so it just kind of gets
Well, he also
in.
has to look up and watch these videos, too.
Yeah, that's because I almost exclusively watch right-wing YouTube now, just because it's the research I do for my videos. So my recommendations are an absolute toxic dump.
Yeah, but
I'm so sorry.
But I think it's great how it goes because I think deplatforming really does work. And it does slow down the revenue stream. I don't know what's going on with InfoWars right now, but I hope they're hawking the shit out of that brain force because they need it.
They're definitely struggling. I know that much because they've started up several new sites. I'm not going to give them advertising here, but they've slight variations on InfoWars, and they've started up these various other sites to get around the fact that Google have certainly bumped down the main InfoWars site on their algorithms. And they've noticed a very, very steep decline in their numbers.
Trump is still sort of endorsing and tweeting them, so I don't know how that will go. Maybe.
True, but I mean, Trump endorses all kinds of. I mean, Trump fucking retweeted Lauren Southern today. I mean, it's just horrific.
Mm-hmm. Lauren Southern, isn't she one of the? She got banned from Facebook a while ago.
Yeah, but this is on Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah. And what I find very interesting about that is like the effect that this definitely has on the revenue stream. Speaking of which, like somebody who got banned from Patreon, one of our favorites, your favorite person in the whole world, Kevin, Sargon.
Carl of Swindon,
Is he running just to get another income stream now that he doesn't have Patreon? Like,
yeah, they're on a site called Subscribestar, which is run by like this dodgy Russian guy who lives in China. Yeah, that's so many degrees. That's so many degrees of crazy. Yeah,
too,
exactly.
like...
Yeah, and not just that, but like there have been claims that there's not a very secure information storage system, given the fact that it's a dodgy site.
Yes.
So basically, all the people currently contributing to people like Sargon on that site are potentially opening themselves up to enormous bank fraud. Brilliant.
Yes, exactly. Well, that's what I was reading about. I was reading about it today because in preparation for this, of course, I was doing a lot of research, and I found okay, so I think everybody has some of their like edgelord like guilty pleasures. And every so often, mine is looking up what they say about right-wing people on Encyclopedia Dramatica. This goes back to like my days that are way too long.
Well, can I just say that the brief references I get on that site are that I'm a fat virgin who fucks his cat.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. It's funny. I mean, I get away with it quite lightly. Some of the things they say about other people. Jeez.
Oh my god, yes. I feel so forgive me, Christy, if you're listening to this. I love you. Like, I think you're fabulous. I just it's just so funny. Like some of the things that they say are just they're like I feel really bad because they're like my dirty little like they're like kind of like my dirty little secret, but like I do go on Encyclopedia Dramatica once every couple of months.
Well, I do too, because they've often got links to outside sources for videos that have been taken down from YouTube because they're like horrifically controversial, or like with Sargon, he deleted various things because of his quote unquote political career.
Is it like the Wayback Machine?
No,
but it's got like he'll often have like a link, or he'll have like a copy of the video from like someone else's website or something. So you can often, it's like a way of it's worth checking as a resource.
It's the wiki of the internet, but it's like it's the wiki of the internet run basically by 4chaners.
Okay, yeah, I'm actually on my phone on it now, and I see that
everyone gets criticised. Like there's no article you'll find on there that praises the thing or person it's about. Everyone gets shit on.
Yeah, everybody gets shit on in the worst, most disgusting ways.
Oh
yeah, I see gay slurs all over here.
Oh yeah, gay slurs, racial slurs, anti-Semitic slurs. I learned about today because of it. I learned what I learned about Red Sea pedestrian. So that's yeah.
Well, Carl's one's obviously like doubly horrific because obviously for those who don't know, he and his partner had a stillborn child. Which is horrific, but obviously on that site, as with everything, it gets torn to pieces. Like they literally just make jokes about it. It's awful.
It's really terrible, and I don't condone that at all. But I was looking him up on there because I couldn't get when I looked up Sargon Avocad, like either I got blind praising or like I got a lot of blind praise and bullshit like that. And so I'm like, okay, well, I gotta go to a place where I know they're gonna be negative about him, but they'll also have sources to things. And I went on there today, and first time in over a month I've been there, I swear. And it's like, and I learned about that. I learned about Subscribestar, and I also learned about I didn't know the full extent of the circumstances surrounding him getting banned from Patreon either. Like, all they wanted was him saying, no, I'm sorry I used the N-word.
Yeah, just a basic
on a video.
A basic apology would have been like, okay, fine. But he made out like they didn't contact him and that they, it was out of the blue completely and this is outrageous. No, it wasn't. They just wanted like a basic thing to cover their ass and say like, oh, we care about racism. They don't. They've still got loads of racists on that side. But the point being, they wanted like plausible deniability, and Carl, being the belligerent, stubborn little child that he is, refused.
Oh, I'm on the site now. I just got on one of Sargon's pages. It says, otherwise known as Carl Benjamin Soy, the the cuckboy of Carl is a fat MRA alcoholic beggar and failed game developer.
Yes. Oh yes, Necromancer. It was going to be the greatest Diablo ripoff of all time.
Yeah, and not just that, but he essentially sort of grifted about, was it £2,500, which is what, about $4,000 US, from his backers for that, and then was eventually pressured and forced to have to give that money back. But essentially, he got that as a interest-free loan from his backers, and then never returned like the game that they had backed him to do, whilst at the same time criticising Anita Sarkeesian for not going forward with her games versus tropes or women against tropes in video games or whatever series, which she did eventually finish. So he's an enormous hypocrite and grifter.
And the thing is that like with him, like seriously. Oh, and by the way, whatever you do, Deanna, if you find the offended page, don't click on any of the links to any of the slurs, because it might take you to the offended page. And the offended page is or anything that says like your mom or anything like that, because it will take you to porn.
Yeah.
Or it will take you to disgusting, horrific images.
I think that's what they did that on purpose as like screening for people who aren't able to take like a lot of this, maybe.
Yeah,
that's what like, a lot of like right-wing sites do. They put a lot of gore and porn just so, like just to get all the.
I found out what Tub Girl is because of Encyclopedia Dramatica. That was years ago, but that was like, whatever you do, just be very careful about what you.
I'm already desensitized though to all this, so it's like whatever.
Yeah.
Show me some dicks. Show me some JJ. I don't care. Show me some blood. I've seen it.
But he's campaigning now, and he keeps putting his foot in his mouth, and it's amazing how inept he is.
He wants more money.
Yeah, he's running for to become a member of the European Parliament for UKIP, the United Kingdom Independence Party, and he won't be. By the way, he's got literally no chance whatsoever. But it's funny because he's essentially done the PR version of setting himself on fire. He really has destroyed that party and his own potential chances of any future employment. Which means
every time he opens his mouth, I get like an aneurysm and a lobotomy at the same time whenever he says something.
We want to make it clear, it's not because not just because we're offended by what he says. I mean, I'm not really offended by Carl anymore.
Stop talking.
I'm offended on his behalf, like on the behalf of his own future. Like, almost. Like, I almost feel bad for him.
He can go play in traffic. Just have fun in traffic.
Okay, that's fair. Like, I will give you that Carl Gunn can go play in traffic. I will give you that. But, like, it's... I guess the part of me that's, like, I still... Like, my empathy, no matter what, chip, makes me go, like... Shut the fuck up. What the fuck do you think you're doing?
Just be quiet. I don't want to hear your name anymore. Like, I know you're doing it for publicity, but I don't want to hear you anymore. Just be quiet.
Is he banned off Facebook too?
No.
Because I feel like he should be. Is he on Instagram?
I don't know. I don't know if he's on Instagram. He's been banned off Twitter a million times. I know that.
I know, but he's always comes back. I think that's why. I think he goes... What is it? It's like Backworldsman right now.
No, that one's gone now. Yeah, that got done about 3 or 4 days ago. As did his Carl Benjamin MEP, or at Carl Benjamin MEP, which was like a thing set up by UKIP as like an official campaign thing. That got banned. Yeah, within like a week. So,
like, what was? Okay, I have to ask, with the UK, and maybe it's kind of different with European Parliament elections, the parties have to agree to let you run with them, correct?
Oh, yeah, you have to get selected by the party. You can run as an independent, but in order to actually stand on the ticket of a party, they have to choose you, yeah.
What were they thinking?
They were thinking...
Are they trying to immolate?
No, they were literally just thinking, he's got, like, nearly 1 million subscribers, and we're dwindling into complete obscurity. So that's what they went with. They clearly didn't vet him at all, because all of the clips that I've been telling the world about for years, that I wouldn't even rape you, and the white N-words and all of this, horrificness and the weird pedo advocacy stuff.
Yeah, it depends on the child.
Well, not just it depends on the child, but the great quote, which I'm glad someone else dug up, and this made it into the newspapers, where he was going, well, it's okay to fuck boys, really, because the ancient Greeks were doing it.
Oh God, really?
Yeah.
That
Like,
one
I'm
I didn't
surprised.
hear.
I'm surprised he hasn't gone into obscurity because of that. Like, just like with Milo, like, I don't know if it's because Milo is actually gay that it's another pinnacle against him or what. But like Sargon, yeah, with that, it's like, why isn't he gone yet?
Well, yeah, well, the main leader of the party, Batten, seems to be in Carl's pocket, so to speak. Whereas the rest of the party, like you say, they were kind of okay with the racism because they're a very racist party. They weren't so bothered with the sexism because they're a sexist party. But a lot of them have seen these quotes about the pedophilia stuff. And literally, the Gloucestershire's an area within the constituency Carl is running for, right? And the entire leadership of the constituency UKIP party resigned, rather than support Carl as MEP. They put out a statement. They even closed down the Gloucestershire UKIP website.
Oh my God!
Yeah, he's literally destroyed the party in one of the counties of England.
A broken clock is right twice a day,
But
I guess.
Yeah, basically. I mean, it's good to
Well,
see they have
aren't
some
most-
limits, I suppose.
Aren't British racists like fleeing UKIP for the Brexit party?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, UKIP thought they would still be okay, even with the likes of Dankula and Carl and Milo and PJW and all these so and so's. But yeah, Nigel Farage, the previous leader of UKIP, who left because they'd become too right wing because of Carl and Milo and Tommy Robinson and these types, has started up a thing called the Brexit Party, which has hoovered up all of the votes that are there, because there clearly are a lot of people in the country who want Brexit to happen. And they're hoovering up those votes because they can appeal as the more moderate party, because we're not these bunch of horrible, hateful individuals. And UKIP are basically died on the vine.
Yeah, it's plausible deniability from people who like still support Brexit, like, because at this point, like, I understand, like, people will probably, if people hear, whoever hears this and is on the other side of the aisle, probably gonna go, well, the referendum, they won the referendum, like, and I'm like, yeah, well, nobody knew, it seems like nobody knew what the hell they were voting for when the referendum happened, and now thanks to good old Theresa May and her administration, like, who actually wants Brexit? Like, it's right, and it's actually really surprising to me. Like, I have to ask you this, Kevin. Why is UKIP, if they're so anti-Europe, do they even have candidates for European Parliament?
Well, because in times gone by, the only time that Europe as a political issue would come up was during European elections. So the fact that this one-issue party of we want to leave Europe did so well historically, it was in those elections, was because that was the only time it ever got talked about. So it was essentially like a protest vote. People would vote UKIP in those elections to send a message saying we don't want to be in Europe anymore. So that's why they did well. But it's become almost a weird kind of parasitical thing where if you're a minor party in Europe and you get people elected to the European Parliament, you get a certain amount of European taxpayers' money to fund your process to make it more fair, to like balance it out against the bigger parties. And so UKIP have essentially been kept afloat by EU money.
That is incredible.
Not surprising, like.
Yeah, and
Just
well,
for
not
me
just
in
that, but
general,
the UKIP are known, Farage included, although he's now resigned from the party, but you know he was elected as a UKIP MEP. And that's actually funny in of itself that the Brexit Party now has actually more than three times the number of MEPs than UKIP has, because UKIP, because of Carl and Dankula and all those people joining, lots of them defected and just literally left UKIP and went to the Brexit Party. So a party that has never stood in an election yet has more than three times the number of MEPs that UKIP has, which is fun. But UKIP are well known, including Farage, for sucking up lots of European taxpayers' money in wages and expenses, and then not actually doing any of the work. Like Farage is on one of these committees, like I think it's Transport Committee or something, in the EU Parliament, for which you get like an extra X amount of thousands of euros per year for, and has turned up once to it, ever.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like they're totally running, like they're going about, the gravy train, the gravy train. You're the motherfuckers driving the gravy train. What are you talking about?
I have to ask, what is Boris Johnson doing these days? Because he's not your foreign affairs secretary.
Nope.
But wasn't he supposed to be for a while?
He was. Yeah, he was foreign secretary for a while, but kept saying significantly racist things, which is not great. Not great, considering you're going to have to go and meet people of different colours from around the world. So maybe stop it. He was saying
maybe stop writing poems about foreign leaders fucking sheep.
Yeah, probably that would be good too. But yeah, I think the thing that broke the camel's back with that, which is an unfortunate phrase, I suppose, is that he wrote a newspaper article because, again, the grift is always strong with these people. He was still taking, I think, £250,000 a year from the Daily Telegraph newspaper to write a column, even though he's a sitting MP and was at the time a Minister of State, and therefore should be, focusing on that. But he wrote a newspaper article in which he spoke out against people wearing the burqa, the Muslim head and face veil thing, which, regardless of what you think of that topic, when he describes them as looking like a post box and a bank robber, is not, let's just say, not statesman-like conduct. Especially when you have to,
When has he ever had statesman-like conduct? Can I ask, how did Theresa May get to where she is? I know she was not actually really elected. But my other thing with her is that, how did she even get to the point where she could be in a position where she could be made prime minister? Because she seems like the dumbest woman on the planet.
With addition to that question, what did you think was the cause of the whole rise in the right-wingness in the UK? Especially, with addition to Margaret Thatcher sprinkling that in there too.
Oh wow! Well, then we've broadened it out into a very significant topic now. I'll take May first. May, the Conservative Party are so divided on Europe themselves that essentially they went with someone who was seen as like a safe pair of hands, but she's essentially a weak, vacillating idiot. Is the problem. But the field of candidates against her and whoever might replace her is pathetically weak in of itself. So, whoever replaces is going to be dreadful as well. In terms of the rise of the right, there's a historical trend called the post-war consensus, where even conservative politicians in Europe, scared of the Soviet Union and the threat of communism, essentially went with social democracy as a strong, strong nationalised industries, things like universal healthcare, universal education, all those sorts of things. And because the Soviet Union was crumbling and eventually fell, those neoliberal capitalist forces decided actually we don't even need to give the workers those concessions anymore, and so they've taken them away. And essentially that's happened in the same way, I suppose, to a degree with Ronald Reagan as well in America and various other places around the world.
Ronald Reagan created the new right, and in America, and I feel and Thatcher definitely created the new right. But the fascists in Britain go back really far too. It's not even a new phenomenon. I feel it's more like the mainstreaming of it has become a new phenomenon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there used to be a kind of hidden thing, whereas now it's very much in the open. But yeah,
I know Angie said we had a podcast with her for our second podcast. She said that the UK didn't have their version of a revolution yet. Maybe France or sort of in our way the US had, and so that could also play into the fascism part of it as well.
No, well, actually, bizarrely, because in the same factor that has led to Britain not having its revolution particularly is also the reason that fascists have never really taken over here, because that kind of strongman figure isn't really liked here. Donald Trump couldn't get elected here not just because he's stupid and entirely unfit for office, but because he's a belligerent arse. People don't like that here. So that kind of Hitler figure doesn't play well, particularly.
And I feel I don't think people realize how much of there are some people who might be thinking, well, Sargon's a candidate and Boris Johnson, but I feel like people don't realize the foreign popularity that I have, like especially with Carl.
Well, no, Carl isn't that popular. This is I mean, I was joking about this as a hangout I did yesterday. That having a group of largely American 15-year-olds, like 15-year-old Americans in Kansas, can't vote for him here. So is he actually popular in Britain? I don't think he is. And outside of massive people like PewDiePie, look, it's easy to get sucked into this idea that YouTube or the internet is that big a deal. But outside of those really big people, like I said, like PewDiePie, people don't know who Carl Benjamin is. They have no idea who he is.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had to explain to my my boyfriend, who Carl is like 14 times. He's like, who's this guy again? Because he does not like, as he puts it, the culture war. And I know. But, and here I am.
And actually, the phrase "the culture war" sums up the thing I mentioned earlier about this safe middle class suburban idiot looking for something edgy to do. They think they're in an actual war. No, you're not. You're spamming Pepe memes on Twitter. That's not a war.
Yeah, I kind of wish I didn't know about any of the internet culture war or lingo at all, because I have to wake up and go to work at my 9-to-5 job as a receptionist. And you know what all they talk about? All they talk about is, oh, how was your day? The weather looks fine, or whatever. Ew, politics. I don't like politics, or stuff like that. Or do you want to go out for lunch? That's just the basis of my day with just quote unquote normal people. They don't know what goes on in the internet sphere. They don't really look that up. All they look up is just maybe Jimmy Kimmel or something.
Yeah, that's the funny part. For me, it's really interesting because I have the same experience when I'm at work. I'm amazed at what people, don't know. And, all this stuff seems to be going so crazy. And the part of the reason that I take it as seriously as I do, and I used to not take it as seriously. And, Dana, can you back me up on this? It used to be all I used to do on the internet was talk about Game of Thrones. Isn't that true?
Based on your history, yeah. You would write all fan fiction. You would talk about how you love Sansa. I love Sansa too, but Jonsa and having to fight against other people who hated her. Yeah, it's a.
Yeah, that was my big crusade online. And
I'll be honest, I don't actually understand what any of that was.
Exactly.
That's okay. But then Trump happened. Now keep in mind, I was a comfortable liberal kid. And Deanna is to this day kind of I'm sure are you still disappointed in me, Deanna?
I just don't usually because I stayed in my own space, it was just easier for me and other people in that space to just not care. We're just whatever goes on, I don't care. I'm dealing with my shit.
But then something amazing happened in November 2016 that opened my eyes. I mean, you want to know what radicalized me, I guess, even though I'm not that radical, in my personal life. Other than this is the most radical thing I do, is Trump. And I began to open my eyes on liberalism and how bad it is and what a lie.
I mean, you're not the only one that kind of woke up to that, so it's not a confession-y thing. I'm it's not for leftists shouldn't say, oh, why weren't you, I know, a leftist earlier. It's when we should be saying, I'm glad you're here, let's work on this kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's especially as an outsider looking at America, it's easy to scream and tear your hair out. But it's when I imagine from the outside, it looks like America is a really difficult place to really grasp, because because of the geographic size, but B, because it's the most powerful thing that's ever fucking existed in human history.
We have a bootstraps mentality.
And I think what Trump did, sorry, if I just finish, the thing that Trump did was, because Trump isn't the thing that really changed America. Trump is just his election ripped the mask off America, and you saw the ugly truth. It didn't change anything. It just revealed the ugliness that was hidden.
Yeah, I've become a lot more aware of the ugliness that has come with our country. like, even Deanna, like, the other day when we were talking, Deanna, like, you had to, like, no, Wendy, there's also this other stuff that you don't even know about. I'm still getting radicalized, I feel like.
Well, but to see these, and there are still some, and I don't want to be harsh to them because I think they're good people and well-intentioned, but the #resist people drive me fucking insane. They're and I think they're right to be annoyed that Russia was trying to interfere with their election. I think that's only fair. But they don't seem to realise that they're like, right now, right this very second, the same fucking people are calling for, like, oh, well, why don't we just invade Venezuela? No, fuck
Like,
off.
it's very hard.
The amount of elections America has overturned throughout the world, and you get Russia do one slight little bit of interference on you, and it's the greatest catastrophe ever. Oh my god, how dare they? Like, fuck you.
It's because America is just such an empire. Like, it's very hard for, like, a lot of us, like, even American leftists to grasp what the atrocity it's done around the world. Like, some of like, the even international leftists say that, like, American leftists are the link this week because we just don't know all the things that are going on, especially in...
Well, it's not even just that. It's that a lot of Americans don't even accept that they are an empire. Like, back in the good old days of the British Empire, it was never like a secret. They literally called it the British Empire, and we ran shit. America's doing the same thing, but it pretends to be like, oh, we're a lovely, freedom-loving democracy.
It's because of that bootstraps.
And some people actually believe that.
It's
shit.
Because of...
You've got
Sorry.
You've got soldiers stationed in 1 million countries. You've got more than... You spend more than twice on their military than the nearest second-ranked country in terms of money. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely farcical that you would think you were a freedom-loving nation, and yet some people actually believe it.
Well, I think, Deanna, like,
it's because for
like...
one, they create that narrative that America is the only moral country, and we're really going around to help them. And then it's also because of the whole bootstraps mentality that we've been beaten down, like, again and again with, like, even with the presidents, and like, oh, poor George Washington, like, chopped the cherry tree and now he's our president because he learned not to lie. Or even Irish culture and the Irish immigrants who had to, like, work very, very gruesome jobs. And because of that, they say, oh, I, had to, again, work these very gruesome jobs, and now I'm very, very rich, when in reality, they kind of pushed black people down.
Well, yeah, they say, like, oh, well, America was founded on freedom, but no, it was founded on stealing land from native people and enslaving
and also
100 million Africans.
Backs.
Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? That's not freedom for anyone.
Yeah, and also the bootstraps mentality also plays into basically saying, it could be worse. Like, we keep saying it can be worse. Like, it's the reason why we tend to vote for the lesser evil, because it can be worse. And also with that boost...
Yeah, the idea of American exceptionalism has to be the biggest delusion I've ever seen. It's ridiculous.
I mean, yeah, because I don't know how we got hold of because of post World War II. We got a hold of that narrative for everything.
To be honest, America, as with all powerful countries, Britain had it when we were the most powerful as well. There is that kind of, like, well, we're militarily the best, so therefore that's worth something. But also, America, the Americans don't seem to realise that. 'Cause, for instance, when you look at war movies before the Vietnam War, regardless of what war they're about, there's often like an edge of, like, morality or of, like, a grander arc of the story to it. Whereas post Vietnam, it's all like ultra patriotic. War is fantastic. America's really good at war. We're the best. USA, USA, USA. I think the
war on terror really threatened that. The war on terror really threatened
well, exactly,
that.
yeah. And America doesn't deal well with any slight to it. So the fact that they were embarrassed by Vietnamese peasants was clearly a huge hit to the psyche. 9/11, similarly. America's like the most emotionally stunted place. It doesn't deal with anything in, like, a productive way. Like, yeah, bad shit's gonna happen, and you have to not fuck the world up every time it does.
Yeah,
please.
We're very passive aggressive when it comes to things. So it's like,
and then also very aggressive.
Yeah, I would argue there's no real element of passive to it. It's just aggressive.
It's like, oh, we bombed those people. It's just a mistake. We make mistakes, but we're America because we just want to, like I said, help people.
Yeah, but it's America. It's okay to make a mistake, but when you keep repeating the same mistake, it seems like a pattern of behaviour. And I think the world, like the UN, if the UN could achieve one thing, just walk in and tell America we're just going to have a normal General Assembly meeting, and when America walks in, just go, look, we love you, but you're hurting everyone. So this is an intervention, okay? Come and sit down.
Yeah, that'll happen.
This is a safe place, America. Just know that we're here.
And then America will play like the victim game. It's just like, oh, I'm just trying to help. Why are you guys doing this to me?
Yeah, exactly.
America. I feel like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna say something, and this is gonna sound really asinine, and I know how it's gonna sound, but I feel like it's encapsulated and almost promoted by like it's the South Park mentality.
Which one?
Like,
the Team America World Police thing.
Yeah,
where it's like
that and Team America World Police, and also the Osama bin Laden has farty pants idea. If you listen to Stan's speech at the end of Osama bin Laden has farty pants.
I mean, South Park is libertarian in general, and America generally is libertarian if you take a look
and not
at
socialist libertarian.
Yeah, we're pretty libertarian. It's like we're kind of okay with gay people, but if you're gay and poor, then fuck you, basically.
Well, I was about to say, America likes to think of itself as libertarian, but like I say, look at the size of your military. I'm sorry, that's the opposite of libertarian. You spend more than anyone, like 1 million times over. You've got the number 1 and number 2 sized air forces in the world.
Like, and they're proud of that.
The US Navy's Air Force is number 2.
And they're actually proud of that. Like, they don't understand. Like, it's like cognitive
But that's not
dissonance.
libertarian. That's like, can you not see that you're like the fucking Roman Empire on steroids?
It's like,
this is not libertarianism.
Yeah.
What's not clicking?
What are you doing?
What's not clicking? What's not clicking?
Yeah.
I hope, Mom, Dad, if you're listening to this, maybe I shouldn't be coming home for Thanksgiving. I don't know.
I mean, I live with my parents, so you'll see how that goes.
Yeah, well,
Are
her dad
Jewish
was in the
people
Navy,
allowed to do Thanksgiving?
Yes.
Okay, that's a joke.
It's not a religious holiday. It's not even though it was founded by Puritans.
America is its own religion.
I know.
Speaking of that, I know this is off topic, but did you guys know that Walt Disney tried to make, I think in Virginia, tried to make a whole America history land?
Yes, yeah, I did know.
Well, we kind of already have that in Virginia. It's called all of Virginia. Like, Deanna, someday you will come up here and you will throw up. Don't ever come to Virginia. You will hate it so much. And I say this as a Virginian. Like, well, I live in Maryland now, but I was a Virginian for most of my life. And it is like come to Colonial Williamsburg sometime.
So like another famous Virginian, Robert E. Lee, you've invaded Maryland.
I have.
Little American history joke for you there, and at no extra charge.
Yeah. No, but I managed to do it without being too. Well, okay, I also technically invaded Maryland when I was 5, so.
Well, he invaded the North twice as well, so again, it's a great tradition of Virginia.
I am Robert E. Lee and come again. Oh no.
Well, I mean, the Avatar doesn't show. I presume that was pre-beard because he did. You've got to give it to him. He had a good beard.
He had a good beard, but I don't have a good beard.
I mean, I don't know it's a good enough beard that you should still be keeping statues of the traitorous mass murderer, but, you know, silly me.
Well, that's the fun part. Even he didn't think we should be keeping those up.
The irony, like, because again, the whole America attitude of, like, the fighting spirit, and so America tends to radicalize that rebel fighting spirit, but whatever.
But it's so strange even beyond that, because if you're really proud to be an American, why are you defending statues of people who literally attacked America?
Well, that's the $1 million question,
They're literally traitors. They're literally actually traitors. Like, what are you doing?
We're so tied to, like, that nostalgia, because again, like, even, like, because it's more like a southern thing. It's like the southern nostalgia of rebellion, but whenever, let's say, people of color rebel, it's automatically, like, disavowed.
Well, exactly, yeah. I mean, the Black Panthers dare to stand up for themselves a little bit, and they're like evil, terrible. Whereas the fucking South rose and killed more Americans than any a war ever has. Literally spilt the blood of a generation. Was it something like 2% of the American population was slaughtered in that war? What the fuck are you? Why are you celebrating that? That was one of the biggest catastrophes in your country's history. What the fuck?
To put black people in their place. Put black people in their place.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's horrendous.
Well, okay, you want to hear the most amazing thing? This is gonna blow your mind, Kevin. Are you ready? Okay. Just be prepared for this, okay? I went to school in West Virginia, okay? That's not what I'm getting at. But you can find rebel flags, Confederate flags in West Virginia. Can you tell why that is just the most mind-meltingly stupid thing and like the ultimate example of what you're talking about?
Yeah, wasn't it because didn't they cut that off from Virginia and it stayed as part of the Union or something?
Yes, that's exactly it. Like, Dana, the whole reason West Virginia is a state is to not be part of the Confederacy, was to not be part of... And there are West Virginians with Confederate flags.
Yeah, well, like Kid Rock, who's from fucking Detroit, uses the rebel flag. And you think, well, that's clearly not Southern pride then, because he couldn't be more north without being Canadian. Like...
I know.
Or people in places that weren't even states at the time. Like, what the fuck? You weren't even part of America.
Yeah, it's trying to symbolize that.
Well, yeah, but it's clear. Look, when they say it's not about, look, I mean, it's a long time ago now, but I did a video called "Burning Beauregard's Battle Flag" because people don't realise that wasn't actually the flag of the.
Yes, that was the other thing.
It was the battle flag of a guy called Pierre Joseph Toussaint Beauregard, which is an amazing name, very French name for an American. Yeah, and I did a video about that, literally explaining, like, it clearly is about racism. The fucking vice president of the Confederate States of America literally said that their nation was founded on the truth that the black man is not equal to the white man. Look, exactly. It's so obvious that's exactly what this is. When they say it's states' rights, yeah, but states' rights to own human beings as property.
Yeah.
Not states' rights to, levy tax on water or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's states' rights to own human beings.
And the thing is that at the same time, Southern politicians, before the split, Southern politicians were fighting for laws to make it illegal for Northern states to offer sanctuary to escaped slaves.
Yeah, yeah.
That's like a real thing that happened.
Yeah, they literally had to return them, yeah.
Yeah.
Bringing it back, did you know Ancestry.com just made a terrible commercial about that? Like we can't even learn from our own past. It's like,
let's glamorize the idea. Isn't it like a white, like you're find out about the epic romance of a white man and a black slave.
Yeah, that's not really a romance as such when you literally can't escape the person.
It is because it's not rape because there's romantic music playing in the background.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Run away with me. Let's go up north and run away with me. It's like, do you know the reason why Black Americans tend to have about 20% of Caucasian in them is because of rape?
Did you know that's like the same reason why Judaism is mostly matrilineal? Is because of rape? Yeah. That's why that tradition was a thing.
I can't help but feel that women have been badly put upon in history.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying the male slaves had it great or anything, but when you put that on top of everything, Jesus. And not just that, but even the baby that gets created can then still be ripped away from you and sold, and you'll never see it again.
And then you have to breastfeed your master's white babies.
Yeah, wet nursing was a thing.
Yeah, people don't understand how like traumatizing like that situation totally was. Like, there's a reason why, again, like I keep going into like the post-traumatic stress disorder of Black Americans, but like there's a reason why we tend to have like a higher heart rate than a lot of other races. It's because we have fucking anxiety.
And I think you guys have a higher heart rate than like just Black people in Africa, correct?
Well, if you look at ContraPoints has done many amazing videos, but I think one of her best ever was did you see the breakdown of the Baltimore riots that she did?
Yes.
That is amazing. I wasn't even aware of like the stuff about these predatory companies taking. Basically, to explain for people, there were kids that were eating like lead paint chips from the walls in their decaying fucking houses in Baltimore, and it led to like brain damage and stuff. So the government paid out a certain amount, and you could either get it as a lump sum or like a certain amount per week for however many years. And there were predatory companies that were buying those rights to those like payouts or whatever, but at reduced costs, and then giving the people the money. So it was basically a way of getting the money quicker or something.
And it wasn't as much of the money. It was less money.
Oh, yeah, for less money than it was actually worth. And so they were essentially...
That wouldn't even cover medical costs for whatever conditions like you might have had as a result of the lead paint eating.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And I was unaware that was even like a thing. And essentially it was white middle-class companies fucking over poor black kids in Baltimore, right? And various other places around America, I presume.
We still are. We're getting poisoned with our water. Too.
And the zoning. Yeah, and if you actually look at the maps...
The Flint water crisis is still going on.
Yeah, if you look at the maps of like, the racial breakdown of the areas lived in Baltimore, ContraPoint shows the two maps of like one from like fucking 1910 or something, and then one from the like the year before, and like, the black people were in red, and then the white areas were in white or whatever. And it's basically the fucking same because of like zoning restrictions. Like they literally stopped black people moving to certain areas. Well, I'm sorry, when like people say, "Oh, slavery was a long time ago." Well, technically, black people have had some rights, but they haven't had like full rights. Ever in American history, basically.
On loans, home loans.
Like my parents were technically legal Americans until like when they were like babies because of the whole 1964 amendment. Like black Americans weren't legally Americans until 1964.
One of my favourite ever bits of trivia, which also shows the vast step forward America has made, but B, the fact that black people have been shit upon up until, well, I mean they still are, but legally were shit upon up until very recently, was when Barack Obama was first elected. You know, he was fighting against John McCain in 2008 or 2007, whatever. And the first of the presidential campaigns, presidential debates happened at, I think it was like the University of Georgia or somewhere, and it was literally said that on the day that Barack Obama was born, Barack Obama wouldn't have been allowed on that campus.
Yeah.
Because he was black. Black people were literally not even to go in there and like clean the shit from the toilets. They weren't allowed on campus.
My sister was telling me. I remember when University of Georgia was in the Sugar Bowl, and I think this was in 2006 because it wasn't long after Katrina. But the Superdome had been repaired because it was in the Superdome. And I remember there was this thing. She went to University of Georgia, and my dad had always loved University of Georgia football. And my dad has like kind of like Southern envy because he's a Jewish kid from Long Island, and he's kind of ashamed of that. But
oh, wow, that's very strange.
But Dad, don't listen to this. Daddy, stop listening. Anyways, we went in, and I remember like we were doing like the introductions to the heads of the colleges, and they were going against the University of Hawaii, I believe. And I remember like the dean, the head dean at University of Georgia was introduced, and I started cheering, and then my sister stopped me, and she's like, "No, Wendy, don't do that." And I'm like, "Really? Why not?" Like, I'm looking at her like, "You're a proud Georgia graduate. What? Why?" And she goes, "Well, she's like, well, he fired the head of the black head of athletics at the University of Georgia specifically because he was black. He's a huge old school racist." Yeah. And that's my sister. My sister's a Republican, by the way. Yeah, my whole family's Republican.
Interesting.
Hang on, if your dad was a Jew from Long Island, surely he's like George Soros or something, isn't he? Isn't that how it works? I don't know.
His father was a mailman.
Clearly, that's how they control the mass communications via the mail. So I should explain, just for anyone who thinks that's any sense serious, it isn't. It's that I deal with people who literally think that George Soros pays me to make videos. And I keep saying, look, George, if you want to send me a check, mate, my bank account's open.
George, if you're listening, please send us money. We'll make these podcasts. Deanna, I think you'll agree with me. If we got checks from George Soros, would we be making this podcast full time?
I would love him to be my sugar daddy.
We'll quit our 9-to-5 jobs.
With his age, he's like a sugar great-great-great-granddaughter.
Well, with that, I think we gotta head out because we are over time already. But Kevin, thank you for being with us on here.
Well, thank you for having me on.
This was so much fun. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. And if you ever want to come on again to talk about things, like, just want to be like, girls, we got to talk about this, like, and Christy's not available,
yeah,
hit us up.
well, you should get Christy on. She's awesome, yeah.
Oh, we want to get Christy on. And Christy really reassured me the other day because I was like, I had written to her and I had said, Christy, I'm really worried about Carl because, like, after Trump, I feel like anything is possible and I don't want to get too celebrative and complacent. And she goes, no, let me explain to you how the elections are different.
Well, all I'll say is the poll of polls, which is like the aggregate of the polling data so far, suggests that UKIP are on course to win, and I love the fact that it was so specific, 0.0 seats in the European Parliament. They're not even, they didn't even throw them a bone and say 0.2 to make it seem like they might win one somewhere. No, 0.0. You ain't getting shit.
Okay, but yeah, thank you so much, Kevin.
Thank you for having me on.
This was fun.